start with, I would like to know what has really surprised you most when you moved from industrial or enterprise AI to biotech. Some
Sure.
interesting facts.
Yeah. So one of the great question, by the way, because it was truly a quasi surprise, not like super huge, but a departure from what used to be the case across several years, where pharmaceutical
Mm-hmm.
and healthcare in general was usually the laggards and the more conservative, more cautious segments of the industry, compared with, for example, um, even the energy sector, uh, maybe together with financial sector and banking, and tech was always at the forefront when
Mm-hmm.
it came to these kinds of changes. Um, but this time with this Gen AI wave, something has changed in that dynamic. There are factual measurements that
Mm-hmm.
if you look at the some measurements or proxy measures of AI or Gen AI adoption across different industrial sectors, if you go back 20, 30 years, the healthcare industry as a whole,
Yeah.
it just tracks the industry just a few percentage points. I don't want to get into the details of the measurement, but just a tad bit, I don't know, by 10% or so under the average of the whole
Hmm.
economy or industry. But then around 22, 23,
Yeah.
with Gen AI, it just shoots up
Mm-hmm.
the healthcare industry. So something has clicked in here, and it has in some ways created even an arms race inside the industry.
Mm-hmm.
An example is some of the healthcare providers. They started to use AI when they put together the claims to send to the payers.
Hmm.
Um, and these are basically when you and I go to our doctor or our lab. That's the form that they have to submit to our insurance to get paid, and it has to be done in a very certain clean format, and the codes are very important, and what operation was done, which is then matched to your coverage, and the transaction completes. Um, when the healthcare providers start to use AI, they manage to improve the quality
Mm-hmm.
so that the forms, initial submissions were approved at a much higher rate because they were higher quality. And number two, on top of that, they were at a higher frequency. If it took
Hmm.
a couple of weeks for the humans to complete the forms, AI could do that in a matter of minutes or hours. So the healthcare providers, the arms race part, they had to respond because they used to be able to respond or manage or push back against some of these claims or find errors in them at a certain rate at steady state. But it was a new reality. It was much harder to challenge them because of the higher quality, and they were coming at a higher frequency. So
Hmm.
they now had to leverage AI in their own turf. So I can say similar things in the research and early development part of the pharmaceutical industry, as well as the commercials, as well as these consumer-oriented medications that are like GLP-1s that are very famous
Yeah.
now. So all of these are areas where very, very suitable for leveraging AI to be more both effective and efficient.
Right, right. And I think you you gave a great example of claim management automation. So we at Tech Focus have also got clients. We have done automation. So I know what kind of, reduction in manual work has been done. So you are having accuracy and you are reducing the, manual work. So it's a great thing. And I think in addition to that, last year we spoke a lot about ambient AI as well from the clinician side. Right now, it's kind of embedded everywhere in most of the hospitals. So you have seen both the areas, both the industries. Was there any biggest surprise in data complexity you saw in your current role in this industry, healthcare industry, or you think the complexity of data is again the same and kind of same in all the industries?
Um, yeah, so data is always Messy, always a challenge. I
Mm,
have not seen a single company, single industry where that's not the case.
mm-hmm,
Uh, but the degrees vary. Um, Healthcare is one of the more challenging ones for various reasons. One
mm,
of them is what you basically said, the breadth of the data, because you
yeah.
have ambient data, if you like, the actual, like, I have this ring on me, I have a Fitbit on me, I have my phone on me, right? From that close to humans all the way to the paperwork that your healthcare provider, your payer, the benefit managers, all those produce all the transactions, the manufacturing the drugs on the shop floor, and the batch data and all of that,
Mm,
all different beasts. So it's a the not just the volume, but even the versatility, the different types, very very different. The medical literature area uh,
mm,
alone is a massive data, I don't know, opportunity or headache, depending on your angle, to consider. So it is one of the harder ones I've seen. Compared with, for example, if you look at, you mentioned Cisco, my 2 years at Cisco,
mm-hmm,
uh, it is still a challenge, but relatively speaking, it's much cleaner. Um, if you're talking about these products that go out in
mm-hmm,
the form of routers or Wi-Fi Wi-Fi spots or switches. All of those products, they're digital electronic products by nature, which
mm-hmm,
means typically the data is cleaner. Um, it boils down, of course, to your users and your customers' permissions, all of that. So that's universal, but the nature of the data is much narrower uh,
mm,
than what you have in healthcare. So it's one of the healthcare in general is one of the more challenging areas for those reasons. On top of that, there's a regulatory aspect of it,
yeah.
where there are, for very good reasons, there are solid lines. The last thing you want is your medical advice to be in any shape or form
Mm,
be manipulated or biased because of financial incentives. Mainly because of those reasons, there are necessary requirements where, on top of the versatility, breadth of the data, you have to be absolutely know what you're doing and very careful to not cross those lines, because
mm,
they're very serious lines, and you
yeah.
never want to do that. So it's both an opportunity and a curse. So um, on the one hand, typically people, the first thing people notice is, oh, our hands are tied and this and that, so they notice the limitation or limiting aspect of it. But at the same time, you could, if you do it right, you could actually use the same tools. You can use AI to reduce the risk, and it's
Mm-hmm,
actually, AI is one of the use case, one of the value offerings of AI is, besides the top line and bottom line improvements, you can also, if you do it right, you can reduce your risk by applying the same technology to monitoring if you're crossing any of those lines that you're not supposed to.